Hi. Hello, everyone. I am Marie Miller. I am a boundary and breakup coach, a theta healing practitioner, a witch, and a psychic. So I have a lot of hats depending on the day. And I actually want to sort of bounce off of some of what Sasha was talking about and talk about sort of the evolution of boundary setting and how we can learn how to set boundaries without having to have all the drama first. Right? Because there's a few different ways that you can set boundaries. Some people have foresight and they look at other people and say, I don't want to be like that, right? And so we look at like what would be a logical way to set a boundary. Um, but a lot of us learn how to set boundaries through having our boundaries crossed or by allowing people to cross our boundary. That is how we encounter most, because sometimes we don't even realize that there is a problem until we get our feelings hurt. Right. So a lot of times it's like the first thing we need to do is recognize that there is a need for a boundary, or that there's a lack of a boundary, right? And that usually happens because we were betrayed, we were let down, something happened. And then we have a lot of feelings around that oftentimes, right? And then we get really angry. And then we set the boundary, right? But also, too, sometimes in those middle steps, there can be a lot of drama, and we spend a lot of time on the phone talking to our friends about how hurt we are. So I know, thank you, Sasha, right? So we have a lot of conversations about these. And one thing that's really been coming through to me lately is like, how do we cut through a lot of that drama and just get to the point where we're like, oh, wait, I am no longer going to allow this. So one of the things that's really helped me in my journey with boundaries is to redefine what a boundary is. A lot of people are like, they think that a boundary is like, I'm being mean to that other person. I'm putting them in a box. I'm doing something bad to them, as opposed to a boundary is saying yes to myself. So first we want to redefine a boundary as something that you're doing from a place of self-respect and self-love. And it's pretty magical what happens when you do that, right? Because we teach people how to treat us. But a lot of times we have blind spots around it, right? And as healers, I mostly work with healers. I work with a lot of people. A lot of people who want to work with me are healers. They're very intuitive, they're very compassionate, they have a lot of empathy. And that's the thing too, when you have a lot of empathy, it can be hard to set boundaries because you can feel how the person's reacting to it. So what stops us from having good boundaries is things like our compassion for others. We want to be fair to everyone. And sometimes in our fairness, we don't create the spaces that we need. If we don't want to exclude people or we don't want other people, that's another reason why we may not. Or we have a need to heal, to fix, to help everyone. So sometimes we set our pricing in such a way that it doesn't help us because we have to be there for everyone. And it could also just be our lack of faith in ourselves. Like, if I don't allow these people to do these things, I'm not going to have a business going forward. Right. So there's a lot of different reasons. And as healers, we often wait until we get our feelings hurt, we get our heart broken before we set a boundary. Like I said, there's some really good people who can see into the future and see how they want to set them. But again, boundaries are an ongoing practice. And we always have to talk about anger when we talk about boundaries, right? How many of you like getting angry? How many of you admit that you like getting angry? I had this huge thing happen in November where like I've done all this work clearing my resentments over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, wow, I'm still really angry. And it just clicked one day. I'm like, oh, it's because I like it. Right. So sometimes we just get so used to it. And also, too, how many of you were allowed to be angry as kids? How many of you, when you were little, your parents were like, good for you. You're expressing your needs. Right now. I had a mom who would make faces at me until I laughed. My dad would make fun of my anger, and minimize it. And so I learned not to get angry, that wasn't something allowed for me. So I sort of swung the pendulum the other way in college when I learned what anger was. And I remember jumping up and down the first time I felt anger as an adult and be like, oh my God, I get to have this feeling now. And unfortunately, it became something I loved. And a lot of us can get sort of addicted to the drama that we have around anger. And I'm talking about especially the anger that you have with someone who has done the same action over and over and over and over and over again, right? So it's one thing if your anger is someone new who's doing a new thing in a new situation. But for me, I'm going to talk about my sister, right? I have a sister who, as a child, was very different from who she is now, right? Categorically, she has changed as a human being. She no longer hits me with two by fours, but I still kept choosing to be angry at her over and over and over again ever since I moved to Ohio. And it'd always be for the silliest things. And just for context, like I live around the corner from my mom, and my sister would drive past my house to go see my mom multiple times per month and never see me. Right. And so I made a whole story around it. I made it a big thing. And I got to be mad several times a month for that. Every time I heard about it, I got to be mad and hurt again. Right. So that's one example. I also have a student who decided not to pay me, not in this room, decided not to pay me for a very long time for a class. Right. It's like, I'm really ready to change. I want to do it. Right. And I made a whole story out of that, out of these betrayals. And eventually what happened after I realized I like being angry and I let that go, I was able to really see the truth behind these different situations. Because when we stay in our anger, when we love being angry, then it's hard for us to see what's really going on. Now, why do we stay angry? We stay angry, not just because you like it, but we stay angry because we are gaining something from being in the anger. We're gaining something from being in the victimhood, right? And we're going to walk you through how to access that. But the biggest thing to understand is when I am mad at this person again, who do I get to be? Or who am I? How do I feel about myself? And there's some sort of gift we get out of that, right? In Theta Healing, we call it there's a virtue that you would get. And so with my sister, one of the big things I got from her, from being mad at her, was like independence, adventurousness. Like that was a huge part of my personality growing up, was being mad at her and being different from her. Right. And so when I want a new creative project or I want to grow or I want to travel, I am going to trigger myself into being mad at her again. So everybody with me so far? And so the first thing is to like acknowledge that I'm getting something out of it, right? That there is a benefit for me being angry. And the second thing it is, I recognize that, wait a second, I know exactly who this person is. I've known them my whole life. Their behavior is not a surprise to me, right? They've shown me who they were this whole time. They are being true to exactly who they are. And I was able to look at them and be like, this is exactly who she is. This is someone who is used to me. Because here's the other thing is like, I lived outside of Ohio for 20 years. So she's developed a habit of not seeing me. And she's just continuing that habit. Does that make sense? It's not any of the stories in my head. It's just she's used to me not being there and hasn't adjusted having me. Right? That's just a cold, hard fact. And for me, that actually was really healing to look at things from like, this is just the way it is, and it's not personal. When we try to make someone's behavior personal, that's when we pull ourselves back into that anger cycle. So what do I do with that, right? I recognize, oh, wait, I'm just not the first person she calls when she wants to hang out. So what can I do? And also too, with holidays, like her husband's the one who invites me over. So that's also just not her job to be the social person. So I'm like, oh, well, if I want to have this relationship, I can do the thing of like, hey, yo, why don't you come over to my house for Christmas? Does that make sense? So I just adjusted my boundaries and how I react to her, as opposed to staying angry and demanding that she be someone different from who she is. Because the big pain I was having was like, she wasn't what I thought I wanted in a sister. But I have my besties. I got Jenny, Marie, and Miranda for that, right? So I have that in my life. And I can allow her to be exactly who she is. And with my students, same thing. I'm like, wait a second. This person telegraphed to me a couple years earlier exactly how they handle money. right? They'd asked for a payment plan for a class. It was a small amount. Took 6 months and 15 phone calls to get that amount. So why did I think it was going to be different this time? And that's because as a healer, when someone says, I'm really ready to learn, I'm really ready to change, we sometimes extend our faith a little bit, like, oh, wow, I can see who they could be. I will have faith in them and like bend my boundaries a little bit for this person. Does that make sense? How many of you have looked at who someone could be in the future and treated them according to the future version of themselves instead of the version they are now? Right? That was a big lesson for me because as a theta healing teacher, one thing I literally do, and like one thing we're trained to do, is to look at our students' divine timing so that we know where they're going to be. So we are taught in a way to understand the future version of them. So it's this balance between seeing the potential in someone, nudging them towards it, but being present with who they actually are right now in the moment. And when I got really present to who this person was in the moment, I sent off a text message that finally shifted everything. Like I finally found the right words to change things. But I did it from a place free from emotion. The anger was gone, all the emotions were gone. Like, oh, this is a situation. I see it clearly. I see who you are. Here are my new boundaries. Radio silence for a week and then a really beautiful reply. So, how are we feeling so far? Okay. I forgot to tell you guys to all have a notebook. Okay, you can also just think about these questions. We're going to lead you through some of these different things. You can journal. So, I want you to think about someone that you're annoyed with, and especially someone that you've been annoyed with for a while. You know, every time they come across your Facebook feed, you tisk or you huff. Text message comes through, you get a little annoyed, whatever it is. So think about this person, and you can just write down, why are you annoyed with them? Do we want to acknowledge the thing that they do? You know, drive past my house to take my mom out for ice cream and not invite me, whatever it is. And then you're going to go close your eyes and come into your heart space and think about when they take this action, how do I feel about myself? What is the I am that feels really heavy and gross in your body? Right? I'm feeling disrespected. I'm feeling unlovable. I'm feeling rejected. Next question is, why do you continue to engage with this person? Like, why are they even in your life? Something interesting to acknowledge. Like, what are you getting out of engaging with this person? And then I want you to just think, you've known this person for a while, right? Their actions have been fairly consistent over the years, I'm assuming, or maybe consistently inconsistent. And I just want you to, from a place of self-love, from a place of calm, taking a deep breath in, relaxing, letting go of the anger that you may feel around this person, letting go of all the story and the drama. And maybe it helps if you just pretend like you're looking at your life from high above. And just over the years, have they been consistent in their actions? And have they telegraphed to you that this is who they are? Right? So, can we get a hand? Has everybody's person been really consistent? All right. So now that we've acknowledged this is who this person is, right? We've just seen the truth of them. This is who they are. We're not going to expect them to change, right? Us expecting them to change because we healed is a trap healers fall into, just so you know. So again, you're going to take a deep, deep breath in, exhale, relaxing your body, looking at your life from above, maybe connecting with Creator. So, what are you getting? What beautiful, amazing virtue do you get out of being mad at them for being exactly who they've always been? Everybody have at least two. So now I want you to imagine that you have never met this, like you're meeting this person for the first time and you recognize that behavior. What boundary would you set if they were a stranger? At the same time. Right. So we are going to do a meditation. So there's two steps to energy healing, right? We're going to do the meditation to imagine this, to make some of it real. But that last thing that you wrote down, that will be a real life action you take, right? Because all of our beautiful meditations are great, but we do want to make sure that we're taking action in real life to back everything up, right? So, and all you have to do with the meditation is follow along. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a moment to center your energy in your heart. Then you're going to take a nice, easy breath in. And as you exhale, sending your energy down into the ground to connect to Mother Earth. Then feel that Mother Earth energy coming up your legs, lighting up each one of your chakras. And then watch it starts to form a beautiful ball of light above your head. Take a moment to notice what color that ball of light is. Put yourself inside the ball of light. And then you're going to float up, 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 past the moon, past the stars, to the very edge of the universe, through an alternating series of bright lights and dark lights, through a big broad band of golden light, into the jelly-like substance. And keep going to that pearly iridescent white light. And as you go deeper and deeper, your ball of light will dissolve. So first of all, I want you to imagine coming out of your heart, all the pain that this situation has caused you. So just let all of that, all the darkness in your heart, all the heartache from this relationship melt into Mother Earth and be replaced with unconditional love. And then I want you to see the anger, this habit of anger that you've had with them also. Let that go into Mother Earth. And I want you to breathe into, I want you to imagine what life would feel like without having to be angry at this person anymore. And know that you can be safe, you can be protected, you can be respected without having to have anger at them. And then I want you to imagine, however it comes up for you, you really embodying those virtues. But they're nowhere in the picture. They've disappeared. They have nothing to do. These virtues are completely disconnected from that person and they are yours to keep. So take a moment, however it looks. And if you still feel the energy of this person somewhere, go ahead and look for any cords and just cut them away, or I just like to pluck them and let them go. Completely release this person from your energy. And take a moment just to play with those virtues and have a little bit of fun. Envisioning yourself without being involved in the drama of anger with them. Oh, so we're going to come back. I have questions in a moment, so go ahead and take an easy breath in. And as you exhale, bring your energy back into your body, reconnect with Mother Earth. And let that Mother Earth energy flow up your body again. This time when it gets to your crown chakra, you're just going to blink your eyes awake. And we'll just let everybody come back slowly. Okay. Thanks so much.